All right, let's just get right into it. There is this very specific, almost maddening feeling, isn't there? It's when you have put in the time, the effort, the real hard work on yourself, and someone just waltzes in with some simple, unsolicited advice about your life. It just makes you want to scream, "Hey, you can't run my life because I'm finally learning how to run it myself." So today we're going to break down exactly why that happens, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it.
You know the feeling, right? Someone says they're just trying to help, but that helpful little tip, it lands like a punch. It feels less like support and way more like a judgment on who you are or how you handle things. So what is going on there? Why does something that's supposed to be helpful feel so personal, so completely invalidating?
Well, here's your validation. It is not just you being too sensitive. According to CogniReset, our brains are literally hardwired to protect our own autonomy. So when someone offers advice we didn't ask for, it can feel like they're questioning our ability to manage our own lives. And our subconscious, it registers that as a direct threat to who we are and our sense of control.
Okay, so this is where we make a really important shift in perspective. What if I told you that advice has almost nothing to do with you and absolutely everything to do with the person who's giving it? This is where we get into the really fascinating world of psychological projection.
So, what is projection, really? Well, it's a defense mechanism. It's basically when somebody has these uncomfortable feelings or insecurities that they just can't face in themselves, so they unconsciously just dump them onto someone else. Think about it. A person who's secretly terrified about their own career being stuck might suddenly become an expert on your job, pointing out every little risk you're taking. See? It's their fear, it's just wearing your name.
And the why behind this is so telling. Their advice isn't coming from some deep well of wisdom about your life. It's being driven by their own internal stuff. It could be their own insecurity, maybe a desperate need to feel in control of something, even if it's your life, or just this deep-seated need to prove their way of seeing the world is the right one. Honestly, their intense focus on you is usually just a way to avoid focusing on themselves.
And this whole dynamic, it creates a really painful side effect, especially for people who've done the work. It leads to this profound sense of isolation. You're out here operating with a whole new level of emotional awareness, and suddenly, it feels like you're speaking a completely different language than everyone else around you.
And this right here, this just lays it out perfectly. Look at this clash. On one hand, you're seeking depth. You're looking for nuance and real emotional honesty. You want to understand the why. But on the other side, they just want things to be simple, pleasant. They want everyone to just move on. It's not that one is right and one is wrong, but that fundamental mismatch. That's why you can end up feeling so completely unseen.
So what happens? You start editing yourself. You hold back what you're really thinking. You stop pointing out the obvious patterns because you know it's just going to make the other person uncomfortable or super defensive. So you end up carrying the weight of managing their emotional comfort, and it comes at the expense of your own truth.
Wow, just let that one sink in for a second. This quote from the vessel just nails it. When you are hiding the core of who you are and how you see the world just to keep the peace, you're not building a real connection. You're putting on a show. That's a performance, and that is absolutely exhausting.
So we've really unpacked the problem here. But what's the solution? Well, it's not about trying to change them. It's about strengthening you. And this is where we get to talk about the incredible power that comes from really, truly doing the work on yourself and building an unshakable foundation inside.
And let's be totally clear about something. This isn't some quick fix. As this quote from Planet Ayurveda points out so well, personal growth is called work for a reason. It's tough, there are no shortcuts, and it is a journey you have to take for yourself. But let me tell you, it is also the most empowering thing you will ever do.
So what does this work actually look like in real life? It's really about becoming a conscious observer of your own inner world. It means learning to separate what you actually feel from the stories you think about those feelings. It's about noticing your triggers with curiosity instead of judging yourself. It's about finding the courage to speak your truth and really understanding the why behind what you do. This, right here, is the bedrock of emotional maturity.
All right, so once you've built that strong internal foundation, you are ready for the final, most powerful step, taking that inner strength and applying it to the outside world. This is where you learn to set effective, healthy boundaries and truly become the authority in your own life.
I just love this quote from Terry Cole. It is so direct and so empowering. In the end, you are the ultimate authority on your life. You get to decide what's okay, what you need, and where you draw the line. Nobody else gets a vote.
And what's so important to get is that
boundaries are not about building walls or punishing other people. They're just about clarity. A healthy boundary simply says, look, this is my side of the street, and that over there is yours. You are responsible for your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own actions, and that's it. That's where your responsibility ends. You're not responsible for theirs.
So here's a little toolkit for you for those exact moments. You don't have to get into a big fight. You can just respectfully set a limit with an I statement. Or you can acknowledge what they said with a simple, thank you, I'll think about that, and then just change the subject. And never, ever forget that you always have the right to just disengage and walk away to protect your own peace.
And this next part is so important to remember. When you start setting boundaries with people who are used to walking all over them, they're probably going to push back. They might get confused or angry or say you've changed. That pushback isn't a sign that your boundary is wrong. It's a sign that it's working. It's all about their discomfort, not your mistake.
So you see, it all comes back to this one central idea. Nobody else can do your internal work for you, and nobody else gets to be the boss of your life. So knowing that, the only question that really matters is this one. What are you, consciously and deliberately, deciding is best for you, right now, today?